Hey there, welcome back. We're going to talk about resistance today. I have been doing some reading and some researching just on the internal resistance, the resistance that we can feel when it comes to making changes in our personal life, making changes in our organization. It could be moving people around in the organization. As a people gardener, you understand that it's important to have the right person in the right spot, that you actually have them in a place that can flourish. And yet sometimes there's a resistance inside you to make that change because you fear that you're not right, that that person actually will be fine in the position they're in. It just might take them a little bit longer. You might fear that they won't like this new position more than the one that they have. There's lots of things that come in. And so there's this resistance. And so day after day, week after week, you do nothing. Procrastination is one of the most common forms of resistance. And I tell you, there are days that I am the queen of procrastination. I never looked at it as resistance to what it is that I needed to do. But as I was researching, it was like, yeah, that's very, very common. There's a resistance to do something because of what might happen next when you do that. It could be bad or it could be good, but it's change. And we do resist change. One of the things that resistance does, it tells you the biggest honking, whopping lies. It has you convinced that where you are is the better place to be, is the safer place to be, is the more comfortable place to be. And lots of times you agree with it. You sit in that. And when I say you, I mean me too. Because man, it's very real. And I have found that to be true in this journey that I'm on as a coach. Lots of things I resist doing. Here's a perfect example. Social media, posting on social media. I know that it's helpful. I know that if I'm going to reach my audience, I need to share. I need to put information out there that would help them see themselves, would help them see the possibilities and see how their world could be different. It doesn't have to be as hard as they're making it. It doesn't have to be as chaotic. It can be this fabulous, free, freedom-filled experience. And yet there's this resistance in me. It's like, whoa, putting myself out there, putting my face on it, putting my name on it. It's like, oh, what if they don't like you? What if they don't agree? And there's all this heaviness and this resistance. And so what I'm finding is that I need to take baby steps, removing the resistance and showing myself that it doesn't have to be this fearful failure, let's call it that, to just each day work at something and build the confidence and build the comfort that, hey, you know what? I am okay. I can do this. The more often we challenge the resistance, the less power resistance has over us because it's not going to be the instinctual thing that happens. But we have to start with moving beyond the resistance. We have to work at being okay challenging the fear of doing it anyway. And that's an uncomfortable place. When you think about yourself as the business owner, as the leader, you have, in some instances, you have years and years of experience. In others, this is brand new for you, but you're feeling resistance in your position and the tasks and the things that are part of your world. Now look at your employees and look at the places that they are resistant. Having a conversation with them to help them understand, hey, I feel resistance. I get that you feel resistance. I get that you have a fear of moving forward here. But now let's work through it. Let's make it happen. And you can be a support in helping them move beyond their own resistance. Chances are that's not going to happen if you are not aware of your own resistance. If you haven't spent the time doing the self-reflection that is necessary to really understand yourself and how you are presenting yourself. Because the interesting thing, if you open up and you share with your team that, oh man, I find this so difficult. I'm going to do it. You guys, you need to help me, remind me that I need to work on this and I'm going to do it. They're all in. They're ready to help you. And then they also understand that, hey, my boss knows what this feels like. So they're more likely to come to you and express a need for support to help them get out of their own resistance. Another part of this is rationalization is resistance spin doctor. I read that in a book the other day, and it's like, oh, yeah, we can just spin and spin and spin and have ourselves convinced that we don't need to overcome this resistance, that it really isn't resistance and nothing needs to change and the status quo is just fine. Well, in lots of instances, it is not fine. Some it is. But getting honest with yourself and recognizing when you rationalize something, of catching yourself and just saying, okay, wait a sec. Is that true? Does that make any sense at all? Am I being honest? So much of leadership is being aware of your own thinking, your own emotions, your own processing, and challenging it. Something I think it would be really helpful for you is to identify times in your role as a leader, times in your life. Could be in school, it could be with your family, it could be in your neighborhood, where you have overcome resistance and you're able to identify the outcome. Resistance, often in the artistic form, is allowing the process to stop deciding how it's going to be and just let it be. When you think of things that have actually been created and built in this life, you look at the Golden Gate Bridge. Somebody overcame resistance to the thought that it's not possible to span that far. They decided, no, we're going to find a way. You look at all of the incredible literature that's been written, the plays, you have Romeo and Juliet. Somebody overcame the resistance of actually starting to write that play. So what resistance have you overcome in this last week? And what are the outcomes? Start adding those up. Start thinking about how you've already done this and you need to keep doing it. You need to help your people to continue to do it, to overcome resistance. This podcast is a result of me overcoming resistance. The resistance of like, Rhonda, who do you think you are that you're sitting here, talking into a microphone, sitting in front of a video and sharing information with people? Well, the reality is I don't know it all. I don't even know a fraction of it. But what I do know, I want to share. The resistance is that what I want to share Is it enough? Is it good enough? Every episode, it's the same thing. But the episode happened because of overcoming resistance. My app that I built, the Be Interested app, that was overcoming resistance. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. The program that I used to create the app, yeah, it's sort of plug and play, but you still have to learn. They're still learning. Your people every day are overcoming resistance. Learn to identify it in your own life so that you can fall back on, hey, I can do this. I've overcome resistance many, many times, and I'm going to keep overcoming resistance. I know that you can. Even plugging in this podcast to listen to it, you overcame resistance because there's lots of other things that you could be doing. So I do appreciate you taking the time and overcoming the resistance to listen to this podcast. Make sure you go and download the app and get in there and get into the resources. There's lots of information there that will be helpful for you. That's it for this week. We'll talk to you again next week.